Welcome to another edition, special edition, Market Hunter Thursday. We're going to switch roles a little bit where I'm going to be the guest speaker and Justin's going to be the guest host of my show, where Justin's going to talk and ask me questions about some of the properties that I visited and really what it takes to really walk a property and understanding, meeting the leasing managers, meeting the brokers, what to look for, and how could this property potentially fit into our existing portfolio of the near 400 units that we currently own in Lexington, Kentucky. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my main man, our asset manager, Mr. Justin Fraser. Justin, welcome aboard.
Hello. I know you've done an episode on Lexington, Kentucky already. This is going to be a different angle for us, right? Because we're going to talk about real results from us and our team. This is Lexington. This is a town that we have significant roots in. We've got a great management company. We've got 3 properties out there, hundreds of units, over 400 units, like you said. So talk up to me about the preparation before we even go to Lexington, Kentucky. We a month out decided we were going, right? A month ago. Right. And I remember us sitting down, whiteboarding and talking and like, Hervé, I know what I'm going to do, right? I got to go see my properties, but you being the market hunter, what is it? How does Hervé plan a trip to Kentucky? What are you thinking about? Who do you want to talk to? And just give us sort of an overview of what your key goals are and how you go about, setting things up.
Think about it in the spirit of hunting, right? You just don't go out and, you cross your fingers, hope to get lucky that, as a hunter, you're going to strike down whatever animal, you just happen to run into, right? There happens to be a method to the madness, so to speak. And so when you talk about preparation for this particular trip, as we prepared and when I was hunting in North Carolina a few months back, in preparation for this trip was a little bit different than other trips because I know that we have existing controlling assets in Lexington, Kentucky, right? So from there, I'm thinking in my mind, all right, what can we add potentially nearby where we can go ahead and take advantage of the property management relationship we currently have in Lexington, maybe take advantage of some of the contractors, some of the payroll folks that we have, because a lot of the properties in Lexington that we had looked at over the past couple of days, and we made sure we specifically targeted those that perhaps had too much overhead, they had some payroll issues, definitely some management issues, knowing that if we attach it to our existing properties, it could be a nice plug and play addition where not only the new property we be acquiring would benefit, but also our existing property would benefit. So that was the mindset that I used in approaching the 6 to 7 properties that I visited over the past couple of days.
So you knew you wanted to see some properties. What else? I mean, we talk to brokers, I know, but how do you sort of plan out those few days? Who do you want to talk to? Are we only talking to people that have properties for sale? Just give us your thought process on who you want to connect with out there.
There might be more than 2, but the 2 kind of methods that I use when I decide to walk a property is 1 or 2 ways. It's either along with a broker or by myself. When I walk a property with a broker, and this goes directly to your question, obviously I'm speaking with the broker that has the listing of that particular property. Keep in mind, as we've mentioned many times before, brokers have their own agendas. They're just part of the process. There's no reason to hate them. There's no reason to have animosity towards them. They're just part of the process. They're trying to do business as much as you're trying to do business. So you have to sometimes take what they say and what they give you, offering memorandums, financials, and things like that with a little bit of grain of salt. Now, when I'm walking a property broker, the leasing manager is going to be pretty much our tour guide, so to speak, for that property, right? And I prefer to actually speak with the leasing manager because a lot of times the leasing manager, they are not only feet on the ground like a broker is, but more importantly, they're in the trenches. They know who's paying, who's not paying. The second method in regards to walking a property by myself, I may pretend to be a tenant looking for a place to live. That's when this is a property I'm looking at. It may not be listed with a particular broker, but in our preparation that we made before going down to Lexington, we identified, you know what, this could be interesting to add to our existing portfolio. It's not a listed property. Let me go ahead and just drive in and knock on the door of the leasing office to see if I can have the leasing manager, take me to go and see a vacant unit.
And so if you're doing a tour on your own, what are some of the things that you're looking for as you're touring those properties?
So if I'm touring on my own, before I get out of the car, I drive around the parking lots. I drive around the parking lots. It might have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm trying to get a gauge of how many cars are in the parking lot, how many cars are not in the parking lot. For the cars that are in the parking lot, what condition are those cars in?
Mhm.
What kind of cars are in the parking lot? How old are those cars? Kind of get a gauge. Not only am I looking at the type of cars, more importantly, I'm looking at capacity. Are we talking about a parking lot at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday that's almost 90% full? Hey, if 90% full, 80, even 70% full, how come these tenants aren't out working? Now, I know a lot of people are working from home because of the pandemic and things like that.
Yeah,
But
that trick used to work before COVID, right?
yes, you're right. You're right. So once I do that drive around, be as best as I can to be inconspicuous, to try to get a gauge on what condition the roofs are in. I'm taking a look to see if there is any HVAC compressors outside. Are we talking about a property with window ACs or with central ACs? What condition those are in? I'm taking a look at the condition of the parking lot. Is this a parking lot that had been recently paved over and restriped? Or can you barely see the stripes? Are there potholes on the parking lot? I'm taking a look at the curb appeal of the property. I'm taking a look at the signage of the property.
I want to get into a few interesting things that happened on this trip in particular. And the first one comes with having scale and knowledge of the market, where we've been in town for a few years and active owners. And so you guys walked into a property that had a site manager that used to be employed by us. And she's still with the same management company, and she got promoted and moved from our property to another property. But, you talked earlier about getting information from people. You've already sort of built a relationship, right? She worked for us for almost a year.
Right.
And so it was so interesting that how much more information can you get when you walk into this property that we might buy? It's the same management company, different owner group, that we can come in and make an offer on this place, or at least get some good intel, because we know her. We have a great relationship with her already. Things left amicably. She got promoted, like, good for her, right? So what was that like to go in and sort of start off like 1 foot in already?
That was kind of interesting because, someone that we already had a relationship with, right? They're going to know a lot about, the city of Lexington, the neighborhoods of Lexington, in specific, in dealing with her by tenant base, right? I mean, she's going to give you some insight into the type of tenants that live in one property that she used to manage versus another property. And in regards to how folks pay their rent, do they pay in full? Do they pay on time? Do they take care of the units that they live in? How much turnover is going on? There's a lot of insight that they can give.
It's like walking in and seeing an old friend, right? So yeah, we had a working relationship, professional relationship. She worked for us. So, we spoke to her once a week, and I know you don't, because you're not on that, but she was familiar with Matt. She's familiar with me. So it's like, oh, hey, how are you? And you get a little bit more. And so one thing that I thought was interesting is that, the brokers can put together a great story about how you're going to come in and renovate units, and you should be able to get $50, $75, $100 by renovating these units. And she's like, hey, let me tell you, we're renovating units and they're going out for exactly the same price as the unrenovated units, right? And it's like, she's like, let me just tell you how it is at this property. So, getting that real information from the site manager that the market rents are at the top, and there's no pushing rents at this property, no matter what you do to the units, is really key. And so valuable for us, because then we said, okay, well, we're going to throw out the broker's renovated number, and we've got to use the numbers that she's telling us. And we know her, we trust her already, so we know that there's some credibility there as well. The other unique thing that I think that happened on our trip was we talked to a seller direct, right? And we actually toured his property. So why are we getting the call about this property that's for sale and not being listed on the market?
And I think the main reason why is because, the seller knows that we're in the market. The seller knows that we're looking to grow in the market to add, right? We're not owners that have these 2 properties in Lexington that we bought a couple of years ago and that's it. And we're not looking to do anything else, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of appreciation that the sellers down there, current owners, as well as brokers down there have for us, because, it's not just a phone call to them that tells them that, hey, DeRosa Group is looking to expand and add more to their portfolio in Lexington. It's, damn, they're in town. I mean, we were having dinner with the property manager of our existing properties. We were having dinner with a broker that showed us a property, just yesterday. It's more than just lip service. We talk about feet on the ground. Our feet were on the ground, and it wasn't just me. It wasn't just you. As you know, it was Matt. It was Dave, our other Dave, right? I mean, there was five of us, man, that were in here, and that were down there and visiting these properties. So I'm not surprised that we're going to be at top of mind for an owner that has gotten to know us. Listen, Lexington is not like a lot of towns, right? Lexington, it's a growing town for multifamily, but it's also a small town. I mean, when you talk about going from one side of Lexington to the other side, it's a 15-minute drive, right? In many other cities, that's going to be a 45-minute drive. It's a
Right.
15-minute drive. So a lot of the apartment complexes are near each other. A lot of owners know each other. A lot of the brokers in the area know each other. So I think we're going to easily be at top of mind when an owner is thinking about selling, knowing that we are looking to expand to our portfolio, that their property, especially, may be nearby our property. As you know, Justin, he called us. This is a property across the street from one of ours, and he was like, I think we were his first call. He's like, hey guys, I'm just letting you know, this will be a
Yep.
perfect addition to what you guys currently have. So much scalability. You be able to take your existing property manager to manage this property.
We got a few questions in the chat, and if you are a DeRosa insider, you can come on and ask questions of Hervé. Most of you probably watching this on YouTube, but a week before this goes live, we're here on Insiders for our insiders, asking and answering questions. So Hervé, first question from Cedric wants to know, what are the major industries in Lexington? What attracts us about Lexington?
Lexington, known as a horse capital of the world, right? You have the Kentucky Derby and whatnot. You have the University of Kentucky down there. You have other universities. And so, again, the infrastructure to support education. You also have healthcare that's associated with the universities and even not associated with the universities. You have, I believe, Toyota. Toyota's had a manufacturing plant over there for a very, very long time, and they continue to grow. And so any of the infrastructure that supports the automobile and auto parts industry is also in Lexington. So there's a lot of good growth industries in Lexington and good diversification amongst those industries in Lexington as well. It's also the bourbon capital. 90%, I think, of the bourbons in the country is made in Lexington.
And because of that, tourism, I think, is starting to creep up out there because
Yes.
people are coming in for the Bourbon Trail, and the Bourbon Trail starts in Lexington and works its way around town, and around the state. Hervé, we got one more question here. Tony's asking us about the first step that we use to identify a new market. Just what are the things that we might look at if we're considering a new market?
I kind of go back to checklist, Tony. I mean, it's a variety of different factors. Population, we want a city, minimum 200,000, a minimum 5 years of consecutive population growth. We like to see job diversification and industry diversification. No one industry making 20% of the total jobs in the particular area. Obviously, we like to see low crime and good schools, and decent median income and things like that. So those are our criteria. I wouldn't say that it's going to be the criteria for all multifamily investors, but specifically for us, because of the type of deals that we specifically target, being those type C properties, that many times are filled with workforce housing that we really, really love. We have an opportunity not only to improve their living standards, but also to educate them with what we're doing currently, as an example, down in Diamond Ridge. So those are some of the main metrics that we look at and whatnot. And then, Justin and I had this conversation just yesterday coming back from the airport, is, we cannot go into a city that does not have high quality property managers. I mean, it's just absolutely imperative. You almost want to have that at the beginning of your search into a market.
All right, Hervé, we're gonna head towards wrapping this up. I want to then just talk about, now it's the day after the trip. We're home. What does follow-up look like? What are you doing after our trip to Lexington to make sure that things keep moving and to follow up? What's that process like?
Man, our process is, taking a look at the properties that we visited, while we were down there, and then and circling back. We're caught up with a couple of brokers today that had showed us a couple of properties yesterday and politely declined that we were not going to be pursuing those particular deals. That just did not fit our criteria. Going to be following up with another one who has to send us some information, because we were kind of attracted to this particular deal and hope it can work out. The next step, man, is you got to strike while the iron is still hot. Call these brokers up, thank them for showing you the properties that they showed you. Let them know that, if it's the next step, seeing the financials, and letting them know that once you go ahead and underwrite the deal, that you'll be back to them with, a potential number and moving forward from there.
I love the recap and real life scenario here that we're going through. Thanks for letting me co-host for
Yes, sir.
you.
Please, again, continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be safe and happy hunting. Arca Hunter, let's go.